So in the real life, in the business problem, we have some important concept: price, demand, supply, loss, profit, etc. Okay, so everybody knows the price. So we reduce the price of product, will be generate more revenue. Okay, revenue or income. Okay, for example, the price of the one item is $10. You sold 5 items, so your income is $10 times 5 items, $50. Okay, this is the will be revenue. So we will discuss this easy concept. Okay, if we increase the production, okay, maybe I should try something here. For example, X is price. No, X is demand. So price is P. X is demand. Okay. For example, the price is $10 and you produce 5 items. So your income, revenue, will be 10 times $5, $50. Okay. When your price is $20, maybe you guess your revenue increase, but the number of the item, the number of the sold item, it can be decreased. For example, it can be 4. Okay, so in this case, your revenue can be decreased for $48. Okay, 12 times 4. So we cannot guess we cannot say when the price increase, revenue will be increased, or when the price decrease, revenue is decreased. For example, when the price is 9, maybe 7 item will be sold. Okay, so in that case, $63 will be your revenue. Okay, like that one, or 6 items enough. Anyway, according to price, you cannot guess. For example, if the price is $9.5, the item number does not change. Okay, 5 items. So your revenue will be decreased by this way. Okay, so here my handwriting is not good. $5, but the item is again 5, for example. So the revenue decrease. Okay, so you cannot guess. Okay, let's look the application again. So if we increase the production, here in production increase, will our profit rise? We don't know. So profit loss analysis, to determine this idea, we should make the profit loss analysis. Okay, so profit loss analysis is a method for answering such questions in order to make sound business decision. Okay, so here are the basic concept of the profit loss analysis. Now I will give you some basic concepts for the profit loss analysis. And first of all, we talk about the cost function. Okay, any manufacturing company has costs, but there are 2 costs, which includes fixed costs, such as a plant overhead, production design, setup, and promotion, or the salary of the peoples, etc. Okay, these are the fixed costs, and variable costs. Okay, so for example, when producing the one item, you spend $4. This is the fixed cost. Okay, but when producing the 10 item, you don't spend the 4 times $10. You spend the, for example, $35, etc. Okay, so this is the fixed cost. So it depends on the number of the item. Sorry, this is variable cost. Okay, which depends on the number of the item produced. The revenue is amount of the money received from the sales of its product. The company takes a loss if revenue is less than the cost, okay? So you have a cost function. Let's look here. The cost function consists of fixed cost and the variable cost, okay? So this is the fixed cost. This is the P is the variable cost. Actually, altogether, this is variable cost. This is the variable cost for each item. Okay, altogether, this is variable cost. So fixed cost plus variable cost is our cost function. This is very important aspect for the business administration. Okay, business administration. Okay. So what is the price demand function, or how we can apply the price demand function is the important question of this course. Okay. So generally, price demand function is linear function, but you don't know it's linear function maybe. Next week maybe we can discuss. But generally, price demand function will be in that form. Okay. X is demand. Okay. X is demand. Here also X is demand. There is no problem. A plus BX. X is demand again. M and how we can find the M and N? We need a regression analysis to calculate the price demand function. Okay. When we need, I will explain. But in the following question, this function can be given directly. Okay. As you see, function is very important because this concept represented by the functions. Okay. And the revenue function. Revenue function is very simple. Don't forget this idea. Number of the items sold times price per item. Okay. So here, P is the price. P represents the price. And again, X is demand. Okay. Number of the items sold. This is the demand. This is X. This is P, price. So X times P give us the revenue. But X is another variable, P is another variable. What is the relation between X and P? From the price demand equation, you can calculate this relation. Okay, so P equals M minus NX. So revenue equals X times M minus NX by substituting the price from the above. Okay, from here, we substitute the P as the M minus NX, so we obtain the revenue function. And what is the profit? The cost, revenue minus cost, or difference between the revenue and the cost, give us the profit of your company. Okay, so this is our profit function. You have to know these three concepts. These are very important. Okay.